We about to have a build. Everybody's reaching out to me, talking about Jesus Christ is coming in His name, and they want to correct me, man. They want to lean on me. So I'm definitely here. I want the smoke. I'm definitely here. So we got the brother Skiffio. He one of the people that was in the comment section going in. So we about to have some talks with him, man. He about to get some work. Let's see. Skiffio. There we go. Let's see if we can get him up in here and get this build. There you go.
You got it now?
Finally got it, man. It's a learning experience too.
It's a peace, kings and queens.
Peace. Let's build. So, well, a devotee of Jesus Christ, right? You rocking with Christ.
I rock with the physiological term.
And what is?
I don't rock with the literal stories.
Say it again.
I don't rock with the literal stories. I rock with the physiology.
Okay, by physiology, I'd be thinking that's more of we talking about the physical aspects of human beings. So I might be mistaken. So express it to me a different way, just in case I'm making a mistake.
What you want me to start with? The word Christ? Because I just want to dive. Let's get real specific.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm here. I need to see what's going on with this Jesus Christ thing. I need to know if I'm in error, if I'm limited in my understanding. You know, I want to make sure that I'm on point when we have these builds. So talk to me. Let me hear something.
All right, let me see. Man, I'm doing 20 years in layman's terms, all right? So y'all got to bear with me.
People on my live ain't dumb. Break it down. Black people ain't dumb in general. And if they don't understand something, what's stopping them from looking it up? So
exactly.
Break it down. You know, if you deep, put it down. And then if need be, break it down. But first, put it down. You don't need no excuses, because I ain't over here about to hinder people's opportunity to learn new words, terms, phraseologies, and get the opportunity to gain new perspective. That ain't gonna happen if we babysitting. So
already,
by all means, bro, if you deep, hopefully no one sink, hopefully no one drown. You know what I mean? But they always got replay value, man. So they can always look up anything you're saying. So just kick that knowledge.
Gotcha. All right, let me give y'all a little short backstory on where this is coming from. I was always interested in introspection. It's something I was doing at an early age, like age 7. I didn't know what I was doing then, but it turned out that's what I was doing, introspection. But I became infatuated with kingdoms, you know, Egypt, Roman Empire, Greek, and Ming dynasties, so on and so forth. So kingdoms, I always wanted to know where the power came from and what was the point, what was the source. And that led me to looking out from outer space, and then eventually back to the body, and then back to the mind. The most significant thing I studied was the Emerald Tablets. And after reading the Emerald Tablets a few times, I figured something out that was happening to me. And it wasn't with the content of the Emerald Tablets themselves. It was what the contents represented. And what they represent is storytelling. Y'all with me?
You know, so I'm not looking to cut your wisdom at all, but we want to stick with this subject matter. We want to get to it. People are locked in on finding out what it is that you have to say about the purported Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Is Jesus Christ real? What is Jesus Christ? What is the Messiah? What's this about? That's what we got to get to. So maybe on the tail end, after we are enamored by your deliberations on who Christ is, then we can start breaking down how you evolved and where you got this information from. But first, please do enlighten us and let us know, is this Jesus Christ thing cap or what? Like, is this for real? What does it mean? What are you talking about here? Jesus Messiah. You believe in that?
Physiologically, yes.
Now, when you keep saying physiological, we know that's a branch in biology that deals with the human anatomy. So
Correct.
why when it comes to Christ? I'm trying to understand
Because
why.
of the story that's associated with the word.
Okay, so what part of the story has to do with?
Where it comes from, the purpose that it serves, every title given to that word,
What word are we talking about? Physiology?
the word Christ.
Okay. I'm not going to hang on the physiology thing. You believe in Jesus Christ and he's our Messiah?
In a you mean as a person?
Yeah, is he our
No,
Messiah?
I do not believe in Jesus Christ that he was a person. I believe Jesus Christ is something that's in all of us, but not that Christ is a person, a single individual.
Okay. You believe in the Bible that conveyed the message about Jesus Christ?
Depends on how you're looking at it. Not in a literal sense, not in stories about actual people.
Hold on. And this is what I'm talking about. When I post my videos, you guys write these comments and you guys sound very sure about yourselves. Now I can't get through a sentence without every sentence sounding like I'm trying to trick you. Pardon the word try. Sounding like I'm looking to trick you. Everything seems like it's a trap or something. I'm not looking to bait you. I'm being live and direct. Do you deal with Jesus Christ Messiah? Did you learn about Jesus Christ Messiah from the Bible?
Yes, in the beginning, yes.
Okay. So, is Jesus Christ our Messiah?
Not a person. No.
I ain't a person. Is he our Messiah?
You saying he, but when you say he, you're referring to a person.
Okay. Jesus Christ is not a human being.
No.
Okay. So he's not a Messiah.
It's a direct reference to cerebral spinal fluid.
Oh, to cerebral spinal fluid. Now,
Oil. That's what the word Christ or christening means. Oil. Just
Christ
like when
means,
you go to the Catholic Church and they put the oil on your forehead right here,
yeah, Christ
because
means,
that's where CSF or cerebral spinal fluid secretes from. It secretes from your cerebrum.
hold on, brother. Hold on before we do all of this. That Christ means oil.
Yes.
And where did you get this idea from?
The christening.
Oh, from the christening? That's what,
Anointing.
so you ain't getting this from no etymology. Because that's where we should go to find out where these words come from.
Yeah, eventually it's going to lead back to that. Eventually you're going to have to reference etymology.
Yeah, we should. So,
Absolutely.
so I just want to make sure you want to stand on these things. Because once one of these things goes wrong, your whole thesis is out the window. That's what happens.
I mean,
And
we freestyling, so where you going to get it from, it all plays a factor.
where did you get these ideas from? And then I'll elaborate and I'll tell you what these words come from. And what,
Over 20 years of study and research, I connect the dots through pattern. What I can't duplicate through experiment, I get a pattern. I find the pattern throughout my studies.
yeah, that's not good enough because people need to know where you're coming from with these ideas because I can't say my reference is this man's pattern. When I give a reference, I'm going to give people actual comparative linguistic studies that they can look up and they can see where the loan words come from. And then they can say, oh shit, I can see where that word comes into this culture. And they borrowed this phraseology or this terminology, imported it into this foreign culture and left out some of the ideas associated with it.
Gotcha. Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm doing this all by memory over 20 years. I didn't go into that greater detail
Okay, I'm not
for
tripping.
this particular conversation.
I'm not tripping. You know, you don't remember the references. So I just want to hear a little bit more. So Christ represents the cerebral spinal fluid,
Yes.
right? And so the concept of a Messiah, that's false. That doesn't exist, even though the word Messiah is attached to Christ from the same scripture.
When you say concept of the Messiah, what do you mean when you say the Messiah?
Okay, the word Christ, you got that from the Bible.
Correct.
Right? The word Messiah is in the Bible. We want to denounce one part of his attribute and accept only the other part of his attribute?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so Christ is the Messiah, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what would that mean if Christ is cerebral spinal fluid? Then tell me where the Messiah part comes in.
What it does in your body, what purpose it serves in your body.
What's it?
Cerebrospinal fluid. How important is it to your well-being?
I don't know. What are you using cerebral spinal fluid for? I'm not sure where you're going at.
Because it's differentiated through the 12 systems, through the gastric nerve or the jugular, right?
I'm listening. I'm trying to find out where Christ fit. I'm looking to find out where Christ fits in with this and him and Christ being the Messiah, but not the physical person, but cerebral spinal fluid. I want to see how he becomes our savior.
Well, we supposedly need a mediator in order to get to God, right? Because we were born in sin.
I don't believe in none of this stuff, but if this is what you feel,
we referencing from where the word Christ and Messiah came from, then we got a reference from the purpose of the book, the whole story.
I don't mind. I'm listening to you. It's your world. You said
Okay.
your.
Okay.
I'm listening.
So if this is the savior and this is also our mediator to get to God, right?
So the cerebral spinal fluid is our mediator to get to God.
Yeah, it's in direct reference with Christ and Messiah. It's
Okay.
all the same.
Okay, I'm listening.
It secretes from the cerebrum, or Sarah Abraham, which is descended from, because it descends from the choroid plexus, the epithelia.
Hold on, is that some battle rap shit like Sarah Abraham cerebral, or that's reaching?
Cerebral.
Cerebral is supposed to represent Sarah Abraham.
Yeah, but we can get to that later.
And so hold on, Sarah Abraham is English, cerebral is English. We're going to use English words to appropriate meaning from Hebrew words, because words are Hebrew first before they come to English. Before the word could sound like Sarah or Abraham, it's going to sound like something different because it's in Hebrew.
Well, didn't they improve the English language?
Is it more convenient to say these Hebrew words in English so we could kind of appropriate them into cerebral?
Hold on, you broke up.
Okay, is it more convenient? Are we doing this because speaking English is more convenient to appropriate meaning to cerebral?
Yes.
Okay. That's going to bring about some misinformation, but I understand. Go ahead.
Okay. Cerebrospinal fluid is created in the choroid plexus, in the cerebrum, in the uppermost hemisphere of the brain.
The frontal cortex?
More toward the middle.
All right, go ahead. I'm listening.
Y'all got to bear with me now. I ain't prepared for this. This freestyle.
I ain't tripping. It looked like you was prepared in the comment section.
Yeah, I'm prepared. I'm prepared. But just like just how clouds gather in the sky and then lightning and it thunders before it rains, this is the same format that cerebrospinal fluid goes through before it's created. The epithelium, which is just like the capillary, which is just like a vein, right? It's covered by epithelia, which is like skin, but it's a single cell thick in the brain. And it produces an electronic pulse or charge. You can look this up. Okay? And when it produces this charge, it's just like a pulse. Boom, 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 boom. As it produces this charge, it causes an osmotic gradient to be built up in the brain. Right?
Yes.
This is the cerebrospinal fluid. This is the buildup, and what rains down is this fluid, cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is essential to, it has a very important after it's differentiated through the 12 systems of the body, it's supposed to go back up. It's supposed to go back up and clean the brain. But what prevents it from going back up is an acidic diet. It's a very delicate fluid. It's associated with alkaline. Very delicate. That's why they say when you say eat alkaline, all of this is to be able to take care of the brain, because the brain takes care of the body, not the other way around. The body doesn't take care of the brain. The brain takes care of the body. But first you have to take care of what you put into your body, because there's a special fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, that you need to support with alkaline. And that's the only way to get it back up is through an alkaline diet.
Okay, brother. So let me build with you real quick.
Got it.
Here's a question. Be conscious. Do you need a brain?
Yes.
Okay. A whale is conscious. Right?
Right.
No? A monkey's conscious, right?
Right.
A jellyfish conscious, right? Jellyfish don't got a brain. Jellyfish doesn't have a brain. Conscious.
It doesn't think?
Hey, hold on. I'm going off of what you told me. You said to have a brain is to be conscious. A jellyfish doesn't have a brain, but you admittedly acknowledge the jellyfish as being conscious. Now you want to ask me if the jellyfish thinks. The jellyfish has intention, correct. But you asking me something as if I just contradicted myself. So a jellyfish doesn't have a brain.
Okay.
We're going to keep going.
Okay.
Saying this in rebuttal to the things that you're saying. Can you go brain dead and still be alive?
Yes.
Can you go heart dead and still be alive?
No.
There you go. So the brain is not all of that. Heart. The heart is 5,000 times more magnetic and 10,000 times more electric than the brain. The heart is connected to the brain by way of a network of nerves called the vagus nervous system. The brain actually gets its decree from the heart. The brain is actually made up of over 40,000 neurons. Same thing that the heart is made up of over 40,000 neurons. Same thing, these neurons that make up the brain. So the heart is your seat of consciousness. This is why in ancient Egypt, they had those canopic jars. They take out the brain through the nose, discard it, to preserve that heart.
They take out the brain through the nose and discard it to preserve the heart.
No, not to preserve the heart, but they would preserve the heart.
Oh, they would preserve the heart.
They weighed that heart figuratively on a scale of my eye and feather. But the heart would represent magnetism, represent what? Static electricity. Because we would transition into the other world that precipitated this world, and this world is precipitated by plasma, and there can be no plasma without magnetism, and magnetism is always accompanied by electricity. Since we want to build. So, we're going to build. I mean, I feel the vibes, and I love the intentions. We're talking about Kemet, ancient African culture, not this whitewashed European Bible, talking this Christ talk and all of that.
But first off, before you even get to Genesis 1:1, it's a very important sentence.
I'm not even concerned with Genesis 1:1.
Before you even get to it, it tells you where it came from.
Huh?
It tells you where it came from.
Where it came from?
It says this book was written by men who were inspired by God. That's the very first thing it tells you.
Oh, okay. That's how nice of them to say that. Why don't they say stories are plagiarized from Africans?
What inspires you?
Huh?
What inspires you?
My wife inspires me. Now, how come it's not speaking about this the data in here comes from black people in Africa.
Absolutely.
No, it don't say that though.
No, it's not gonna say that. Just like they don't call Hermes Thoth or Djibouti.
Yeah, so this shit is cap. It's plagiarized. And if it's plagiarized, you're not going to get the full meaning or the original intention. And then now we so slick, we start learning about cerebral spinal fluid, 12 cranial nerves, and start making appropriations. That's the disciples. And then we try and make sense out of nonsense because we don't want to go to the ancient African archetype. That's the problem. If we stay in Africa, we're not going to be confused.
Oh, the only point that I started making those correlations was the beginning of the conversation. The word Christ.
You have the intention to think, and you're making sense out of nonsense. And if that should continue, eventually you're going to sound foolish if you don't come off foolish already, because we have to go to the original intention. Otherwise, whatever creative thing we come up with, whatever sense we make out of this nonsense, we're going to be in error because we refuse to acknowledge what our ancestors have originally conveyed. That's the problem. So, you say the word Christ. Where did they get that word Christ from? You say the word Messiah. Where did they get the word Messiah from? Because there's a story that goes with these words, because these terms have appropriations in ancient cultures where things would transpire because the priests will facilitate in certain tasks on behalf of principal forces or their kings. And if we don't recognize what ancient African peoples conveyed, then we're going to misrepresent the intention behind their conveyance when it's masqueraded as this European whitewash Jesus Christ the Messiah data. That's the problem. So, this Jesus Christ thing, 2,000 years old and some change. 2,000-year-old folklore. 2,000-year-old plagiarism. That's what it is. Jesus Christ the Messiah, as conveyed by the Bible, that doesn't give credit to ancient African people for the motivation, the inspiration, or the impetus for that narrative. We are Africa now. And what we're going to do first and foremost, there's a tribe called Messiah, from which they get the word Messiah, that originates in Sudan, in Ethiopia, who later migrated to Tanzania. Why is this stuff important in the first place? Because when we go to ancient Sudan, we see their connection with ancient Egypt, because Taharka, the king, was Sudanese, but he prevailed and reigned in ancient Egypt. I say this because there's a cultural diffusion that takes place, and the Maasai tribe didn't get their name out of nowhere. It's from the Nilotic people's influence, people along the Nile, the longest river in Africa. We're going to go back. We know English is a baby language. So we're going to go into the Medu Neter, the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic language. And if we go into the Medu Neter, the divine language or the sacred language, that's what it means. Guess what we find that existed thousands of years ago before Christianity evolved? We find the word Christ in ancient African linguistics, pronounced Christ. Christ. And guess what that word means? It means to anoint. What a coincidence. Ancient African people were saying the word Christ means anoint. And then we look for another word, Messiah. And we see in the Medu Neter, ancient African linguistics that exist thousands of years prior to Christianity even coming about. How we know this? Because the world's oldest scientific texts have been accredited to the Remetu, or the ancient Egyptians. The Book of Gates, the Amduat, Pakutishapamawut, the Peta Emheru. These are books that existed thousands of years prior. They'll date them back as far as 10,000 years. So we're talking thousands of years before there's a Christianity, before there's an Islam, before there's a Judaism. The world's oldest text that uses these words existed. There were stories and appropriations for these terms and phraseologies before Christianity was ever introduced. The least the Bible can do is just, our motivation comes from the inspiration of God. No, ancient African people, ancient African men and women. That's where we stole this information from. Stole. And now you have the descendants of these great people, brilliant as they are, making sense out of their nonsense from the extracts of a diluted story that's been passed down to us from one generation to the next.
That's why I went, not to cut you off.
So the word Christ comes from ancient black people's tongue, Karast, in the Medu Neter. We'll even see it in other Bantu languages along Africa. It means to anoint, Karast, from which you get the word Christ. Messiah, from the Messiah, which is sacred alligator. Messiah means sacred alligator. What does that got to do with anything? Because the Remetu, ancient Egyptians, just so people can make the connection to, I don't like using the word Egyptians. They use alligator fat to anoint or use in their ceremonies, to put over their mummies or to put on their kings. They use that as an oil, alligator fat, because the alligator was considered sacred, because it would conserve energy for long periods of time and make sure when it does execute, it would have used a tremendous amount of energy like this, but it would spend so much time calculating its move that its prey wouldn't even know it was available. But crocodiles, not alligator, crocodile fat. Crocodiles are also known for their fertility. Okay, this is where some of these associations and ideas are coming from. Dig what I'm saying? And so now we know the word Messiah comes from Messiah in the Medu Neter, divine language of African peoples that existed thousands of years before any of the monotheistic religions were even thought of, before any of them plagiarized, fabricated, and created their own version so they could discredit black people for the conveyance. In their culture, in our former culture, this is why I always ask people, what were we doing before the introduction of the Bible? Because we want to play with words and terms that come from African peoples, but we don't want to play and build with the African people. We don't want to learn their doctrine. We don't want to learn their information because we see ourselves as separate and different from Africa. We want to play with Judaism. We want to play with Christianity. We want to play with Islam. As Islam calls on Allah, and he said, but when you look up Rahim, the triliteral root, three-part verb, RHM, is literally letting you know that Allah has a womb. When we go into Africa, ancient Nigeria, we'll see that you have Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, which is leveraged to create the fabrication of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But if you go into Yoruba, in Yoruba, you have a womb deity named Allah. What a damn coincidence. Thousands of years before Allah was birthed, because Islam is 1,400 years old. Black people were worshiping Allah with a womb for thousands of years prior to this Islam. And right in their own mantras and in their decrees, it lets you know that Allah has a womb, and it wasn't a mistake. It was stolen from African culture, but turn around and make the word mercy. And we say, yo, don't that word mean womb? Yes. But by womb, it's like a metaphor for mercy, because we get our mercy through the womb of coming into existence. What does the goddamn word mean? Womb or mercy? It means womb, brother polite. But understand, it means mercy. See, this is the capping that religions do. So before Allah was this male deity, Allah was a female deity in ancient African culture. Ancient African culture. So the damn religion Islam says you can beat your goddamn wife, and when you die, you get 72 virgin fucking women, which is another mistranslation. Because original Christians called on Allah before they called on anyone else in their New Testament that originally was written in Syriac, called the Peshitta. Not the Greek New Testament. Before there's a Greek New Testament, there's a Syriac New Testament called the Peshitta, where Christians called on Allah over 100 different ways, 100 different times, pardon me, in the New Testament. Because Christians are Muslims. Muslims are Christians, pardon me. And those Christians got their game from ancient Egypt, a great deal of it. So anyway, even if we go into this Bible in the first verse, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yo, listen. Elohim as Hashemayim. What? That's not the right words?
No, I mean, that's what I wasn't thinking for.
Oh, okay, because that's Hebrew. Okay, I was just making sure. So what I'm saying is, when it says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was all formed before the darkness upon the face of the deep, the Spirit of God moved across the waters, all cap. And I don't fuck with this shit. But I took the time out to study it because my people play with it. And my people over here miseducating their children and living their lives by it. And not being revolutionaries. In fact, they're being counter-revolutionary because they've been pacified by believing in this trash. So I took time I took time out to study the language. So I wish the person would. I took time out to study the language. I took time out to say, yo, hold on. God's name is El Shaddai? Yeah, polite, that means the force. Hold on. The force. Shaddai, Sheen, teeth. Daleth, D. Knob or nipple. Yod, hand. Teeth, nipple, hand. God is being described as teeth, Sheen, Daleth, Yod. SHDY. Sheen, Daleth, Yod. Teeth, nipple, hand. Where do you see teeth, nipple, hand? Through breastfeeding. Just in case you're making a mistake. What is the word breast in Hebrew? Shediyim. Oh, because it has a yod and meme at the end, suffix to it, so that makes it plural. Okay. What is it in singular? Shed. But it's a diphthong. So that's why it sounds like I at the end with the yod at the end when you put those two together, because it's a diphthong. You put the dollar and yod next to each other, it makes a long I sound. It's called a diphthong. God was described as a breast. So in Islam, Allah has a womb. In Judaism, God is described as the force. But when you look at the ideographic and pictographic meaning of the words per Hebrew, God is described as breast. Because it's something we get from our mother's breast that we can't get from nobody else on planet Earth, that's specifically designed to boost our immunity, boost our consciousness, boost our ability to socialize, boost our digestive system. It's created specifically for you that no one else can create for you other than your mother. You get something from your mother you can't get from nobody else. Makes perfect sense if God's a woman. In ancient cultures, we venerated the woman. That's why when you see those buildings with the mosque shape and the nipple on top, whether it's the White House or your mosque, we're looking at the veneration of the woman's physiology, the woman's anatomy. But nobody wants to give her props. And when you give her props, they say, Brother Polight, you simping. You just doing that so you can get some ass. You manipulating things because you niggas want to get on your knees to a fucking man. Pause. I get on my knees to a woman. I worship a woman. So we do this in the beginning. God created the heavens and earth, and earth was our form of void, and darkness upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of God moved across the waters. Let's do that. Because what they're talking about is Nununet, he had Keki Ket, Amunet. The Akduak. Because Nununet is the waters. Keki Ket, darkness. Amunet, hidden power. He had deep, primordial energies. So when we look at the twins that came out, not this, oh, we made man and took from his rib and then made woman, cap. We look at our ancient culture, we was thinking in duality. We didn't put one before the other. We made them run concurrent, simultaneously. Nun, Nunet, He, He, Kek, He, Kek, Amunet. Not tomb at the top. Not too. This is the ancient African archetype of conception. See, I just make the money with the people because I really don't be set tripping. But in ancient Africa, when we anoint our kings, we took the sacred fat from the crocodile and we used that to do our karash or anointing. So the Messiah or Messiah is the sacred crocodile from which the fat derives that we use as the oil to do our karash, anointing, or any of our major ceremonies. It was just a way of life. That's all it was. They were enamored by the sophistication, the understanding, and by our apperception, our ability to be cognizant of our surroundings and integrate it into our thought and create philosophy, a love of study. Let me say this. They came up with the philosophy or the love of study, being enamored by the way ancient Africans thought. Because we didn't have a word for God. We said nature, which is undoubtedly a cognate loan word that gets borrowed, harmonious morphological code that later becomes nature. We said nature or nekher. In, meaning agent. Ch, ancestors. Agent of the ancestors. Nature, agent of the ancestors. Now hold on. How did they depict the image that people mistranslate as God, that we respond as nature? That today you see the word nature depicted as a flag. And when the wind hits the flag moves. And when the flag moves, we can't see what's causing the flag to move. But we bear witness that there's a force that exists, that though we can't see it, it affects physical life. And there are multiple forces that can be described as such per science. But for this model, nature is depicted as a flag because the flag is moved physically by a force that we can't see. And so they have the nechiru, because when you add a U at the end, you suffix a U, it becomes plural. So we have no words for God. We may have a word for like master, like Neb, king, Nesut, which when you read it the wrong way, because you don't read Medu Neter properly, you'll say words like Sutin, but the more archaic form, because they have something called honorific transposition. So there's things that we consider to be divine, we wouldn't pronounce first when we see it in the word. So if you see the soot plant first, you wouldn't pronounce it. If you don't know better, you would say Suten. When you can read the Medu Neter, you say Nesut. So you got people walking around here with names with Suten in there, feeling fly, because they were miseducated by teachers that were miseducated. So as you know, my name, one of my cultural appellations is Nesut Amun-Re Sena Tumre. And I'm head of the Crown Illustrious Supreme Grand Apperception of our new Covenant community. But focus on Supreme Grand Apperception. And so, when we look at how we think in ancient Africa, it's so deep, but so simplistic, because they commission themselves to study nature and to convey nature's message through their communications day to day. Real talk. That's why an ancestor in the Medu Neter can be someone who's dead or someone who's old and alive. And they use a mountain in the depictions because we call it being on the other side. You can't see what's on the other side. And if they were to define or announce Kohens or eavesdroppers or spies or people that's looking to invade, you will see a mountain in the hieroglyphics that make up that word as well. Because you couldn't see where they were coming from. They come from ascending or descending hills. This is where Masonry gets these ideas from, ancient Egypt.
Absolutely.
And we don't even understand the rhetoric we hear when you hear of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you're honorable, you're a fellow craft. If Master Fard Muhammad, then that means you're third degree Mason. Master. Noble Drew Ali. It means he has over 30 degrees. He went into the shrine.
What's the correlation between 33?
Correlating it with what? 32 is supposed to be the freezing point. So you get suspended in time until you finally raise up in more prestige and more honorary degrees, because it's only supposed to be 15 cents or 15 years worth of knowledge. So that means you travel 357. And the 357 represents 3 years, 5 years, and 7 years of study. That's as an enter the apprentice, when you enter the craft, been passed through fellowcraft, second degree, and then raised through the third degree. So when you hear people that's called Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Master Farad Muhammad, this is all Masonic rhetoric. And if you hear noble, then you know they've done the 3 actual degrees of Masonry and been recognized through the honorary degrees and transitioned into the shrine. And your Masonry is to your Hebrew or Judaism as your shrine is to Islam. That's why they open up the Quran when you get into the shrine. You open up the Bible, okay, because you have 3 movable Jews and 3 immovable Jews. The 3 immovable Jews, sun, moon, and the stars. The 3 movable Jews, the compass, Bible, and square. Now, how would I know you to be a Mason? Would be by the perfect points of your entrance. We're supposed to be brothers under one starry canopy. And I extend my cable toe to you so long as it doesn't kill me. But some brothers are able to extend their cable toe to the full circumference of the earth, 24,986 square miles. I've taken the time out to join so many schools of thought, to learn so much knowledge. I know how to sift through the rhetoric. I devoted my life to studying as a young man. When everybody was clubbing, I was out here looking to see who's bullshitting. And everyone was bullshitting in every school. It's only when you do a comparative study that you can say, yo, this comes from that and that comes. It's all stolen African history. So when people be talking to me, calling me names, oh, you're dumb. You saying this about God. So I know where you got that idea from, and you don't even know where you got the idea from. I know when I hear Prince Hall Mason talking and teaching Freemasonry. Like, that shit ain't ancient African culture. That's Prince Hall that did that. You passing it off as Freemasonry. Some of that is convoluted. Because those brothers, because you got free and accepted Masons or ancient free and accepted, like, yo, listen, AM/FM and all this other goofy shit, and the Prince Hall Masons want to call the other black Masons clandestine because they didn't get the honorary pass from the white man. Like, all this shit is trash.
Definitely because limitation also.
If I say teach your people something that they can leverage to make their life better, that goofy shit won't do nothing for them.
It's going to do something. It's going to put you beneath the person that brought you in.
Why not? So I'm saying is, I walked many schools of thought, my good brother. Shrine, Masonry. I walked many schools of thought. And people see me with a checkered jacket. Yo, look. And I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. What does that mean? Now sit here and build with me and tell me how I'm working against the community. I wore a jacket that got black and white slits. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. Because I did the knowledge. I didn't cheat and try to do a Google search with keywords. I dedicated my life to fucking studying while niggas was out there clubbing, getting drunk, making more babies than they could afford. I was in and out of schools, learning languages that correspond with the scriptures, going in deep, joining revolutionary movements, being infiltrated by this goddamn white man, made out to be a fucking terrorist. With each interview I do on C-SPAN and CNN and Fox, representing for my people, and always equipped to teach and never speaking, not even on a small percentage of what I know. It would sound like I'm trying to show off. I'd be sitting here not saying shit. This is probably one of the deepest conversations I had in quite some time, King. And that's because you was talking that shit. I'm vibing with you. You talking that shit. You thinking. Just because you thinking, I fuck with you. Because you thinking. You talking that talk. I'm just saying, be careful not to make sense out of their nonsense. Go to the source. See what the source says first. Then contemplate, add on, Give your suspicion, your speculations, and your interpretation and your interpolations of what transpired from the source material. Because when you play around with these third parties, no matter how on you are, you're going to be off. Because that's how that shit is designed. Go to ancient Kemet.
Physiology.
Go to ancient Kemet. Study the Book of Gates. Study the Amduat. Okay? And the only way you're really going to be able to figure those things out is if you study biosemiotics, space physics, microbial biology, because that's where the correlations are coming from. So get the Amduat, get the Book of Gates, get the so-called Book of the Dead, which is the Peta Emheru.
The subconscious mind. You take a baby. You take a baby that's born into the world. They're more receptive than an adult. What does a baby have that an adult, what does a baby have more of than that an adult doesn't? Potential. Potential. Because as you age, as you experience things, you become accustomed to particular actions and thoughts.
Listen.
Based off of your experiences, what you've learned, what you've been taught. What's the first thing they ask children? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? To remove your potential. Because you came from light. You come from the sun. And what is light a representation of? Not only physical matter, positive and negative energy in harmony simultaneously. Because the positive and the negative are always present simultaneously. Without the two being present simultaneously, physical matter wouldn't exist. But the baby's potential is removed through its studies. So when you read a book or you study a book and you go through life and you experience something that you've never experienced before, where is your point of reference going to come from? What you've been studying.
No doubt, man. So look, this is what I'm gonna do. It was great building with you. Let me see if I can get some people's feedback, and then I'm tuning out. I'm just getting hot at all these lost. You know how they got a lost and found? You go certain clubs or certain events. That's what religion is, man. These niggas is like the lost coats and hats and shirts and shit.
I call it the civilization manuscript that they got from Egypt. It's the
No
civilization
doubt.
manuscript.
No doubt, man.
And
But I appreciate your time for coming in. We're gonna do another build too. I appreciate you
appreciate you.
taking the time out to think and put it together. Just go to the source, my brother, and then derive ideas and understanding from the source material. That's the best way to go about it. So that way you stay ahead of the curve. You know what I'm saying? Because they can only give you a diluted version of yourself. That's all they doing with this stuff. And we making sense out of it because we recognize something on a subconscious scale. We have a genetic affinity to truth. So we hear some kind of truth in these religions and it sounds familiar. So we on that time, we like, yo, I got to get to it.
Oh, I'm not religious, by the way.
I ain't say you are. You gave that disclaimer in the very beginning. So I'm just saying we have a genetic affinity to truth. It stimulates our interest when we hear it or we see it or some remnants of it. Unfortunately, it's still diluted. So we get caught up in there in this centrifuge of confusion and we get integrated into the chaos. And then the next thing you know, that's all she wrote. But let me communicate with some of the brothers and sisters out there online before I close out.
No doubt.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace. Yeah, close out or exit. Save the live. I'm definitely on it. All right. Send your request to come in if you want to come in. Send your request. And we get just have a little quick build. And I'm soon signing off so that way I can actually save it for that countdown start coming in.
Again, my G.
Wow.
Again. Man, you know these dudes ain't never read the Pert Emheru, the Burden of All Set. They never read the Book of the Gates about the Amtuat, the underworld. They have no idea. Polight, like, bro, I don't even know how old you are. So, you know, I want to address you as big bro, but your knowledge is so great. But as a fellow tribesman, you know they never read these books, man. I've read those books. I read them every day. I use them as a reference. You know, I've read the Coming Forth by Day, Hymn to the Setting Sun, you know, the litanies to Osiris, you know, beating back the crocodile. If they just understood the Holy Trinity is the triune of the brain from the reptilian and the art complex, and you have a pyramid and an olive in your brain, and the hybridization of these religions are using our symbols and everything that we do in Egypt. Or I don't even like to say Egypt either. I just, you know, Commission, Tamera, all the other names that they have. And I'm
I'm
just so
vibing with
glad.
you. Let's make sure we get these other people to vibe too.
Yeah,
Cause
it's all right.
you about to go deep and hard in the paint. And
I'm
I got
not.
a
I'm
few.
not. I'm not.
I got a few minutes left, so I just want to randomly let the people get a chance to vibe and connect,
I'm
and then
not.
I'm out of here.
Hey, bro, I really appreciate you speaking on the Book of the Gates and the Pert Emheru and all of that.
Hey,
Hey,
like I know you would. I appreciate you.
hey, I appreciate you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep coming in here until they recognize what true fundamental, like you said, the source is. Because once you understand the fundamental base of the pyramid, then you can understand everything else, and that just is what it is. Hey, bless you, bro. Keep working. I say.
Hey, I said
Yeah,
peace.
I keep telling you, bro. I'm really building to be him. You know what I'm saying? I listen to you, and everything you say just keeps me knowing that I'm on the right path, bro. So I'm gonna let you just get off and do your thing. Troy King, once again, y'all. If y'all just really stop trying to debate with the man and just take time and listen, learn, apply, and reapply, you will change your life. But if you keep trying to debate like you know more, you only gonna get confounded on what you don't know. So, hey, I'm just trying to help the people as you help the people, bro.
So it says I got a minute and 52 going.
Hey,
Let
hey, hey,
me bring
go
one
ahead, do
more
your
person.
thing, bro. Troy King, once again, y'all. One.
I felt that clock coming. All right, peace. I'm gonna put one more person in. I want to make sure that we can save this live because normally these kind of lives don't get saved. Peace
What's
to you,
going on,
peace.
Ken?
Doing good, G.
Yeah, hold on. Let me mute this TV real fast so I can get into it with the good brother, man. I've
Hey,
been following you for a
rock
minute.
out for like 30 seconds, and then I'm closing.
All right, now check it, right? Love what you're doing. We're going to keep it simple. Love what you're doing. I admire your movements, brother. From
Thank
gang
you.
to the, from everything you're doing, son. Enlightening the brothers, enlightening the sisters, and you keeping it solid. So I can't do nothing but praise you, brother.
Hey,
Brooklyn,
thank you, King.
Brownsville. You know how we do it. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn, Brownsville. And I'm trying. Listen, bro. I got a lot to say. Been drinking a little bit. I'm sorry,
I ain't mad at
but
you. I ain't mad at you.
listen. The way you moving, brothers need to piggyback off your moves, God. You
Man,
can't do nothing but learn from it. You know what I'm
blessings
saying? You can't
abundance.
do nothing. Yo, brother. Let me tell you, man. If
Hey, I'm down. I'm down to the last 18 seconds. I want to
I
make sure I
got you,
save
I
this
got
live
you. What I'm
before I
gonna
get
say is
there.
peace, peace. Love what
Peace.
you doing. Keep it up, brother.
Yes,
All
King.
right.
Thank you so much, King.
I got
All
you.
right.
I got you. Peace,
Peace
peace.
and abundance. We're gonna bring it back again.
All day, all day, all day.